because people kind of like identify with me as like the decluttering girl or like the minimalism girl or whatever, they are always asking me like, oh, please come tidy my playroom, or please come, you've got to come help me, or just come walk through my house and tell me what to do. And I really have never ever wanted to do that, like be a professional tidier or declutterer. And then like, you know, when I went on the whole eco shtick and people started learning about that and seeing that I was doing that, and there were just all these like, concepts that I was researching and getting interested in and learning about. And then I made the Mother's Nature group, the WhatsApp group, purely out of selfishness because I wanted to be more zero waste and I wanted to be more conscious, and there was just information that I felt like I couldn't access. So then I started the WhatsApp group because I felt like there was so much information that I wanted access to and I just couldn't get it quickly enough. And then like I would have a random conversation with Lexi or a Lexi and they'd be like, oh no, actually if you just call this one or call that one. So then I was like, okay, I've got to have this WhatsApp group because there's other women who are interested in that also now. But then I still didn't know, I still felt like everything was kind of all over the show and I still didn't really know, firstly, what it is that I actually wanted to package and convey to people in terms of like a product per se. And I also didn't know like if I wanted to kind of create a career or not, you know. So at the beginning of this year, yeah, it feels like an age ago, it was this year, in January or February, my friend took me to like a sort of a woman's evening with a psychologist who runs these evenings, and basically it was about helping you get in touch with your intuition, like your own innate intuition. And it was actually just a completely open experience. And one of the things that I took from that evening was she taught us this concept of sitting in silence. You just sit in silence and you just allow the thoughts to flow without any like agenda and judgment and preconceived ideas. And one morning I just did that, and Carla knows all of this. She said 10 minutes. Obviously longer, but you don't want to be unrealistic with yourself either. And I just said to myself, I think I have something to offer. I'm not sure what it is, and I have a desire to offer something, and I'm very passionate about women, which you're going to hear about in a moment. I'm very, very, very passionate about women, and but not in any way that I've seen commercially. Like I don't identify with any of these like man bashing and women are like, I've never found something that relates to how I feel about women. So I thought I'm going to sit, and she got such a fright. I'm going to sit in silence and I'm going to allow these thoughts to come. And basically what kind of manifests in my brain, which I think is just like divine providence, you know, like Siyata Tishmaya, like it just came into my mind, is this idea of bringing women together in the format of a workshop, like a an ongoing thing, not a once-off, not a class, not like I teach, you learn situation, but completely interactive with kind of an agenda. So informed by all these sort of doctrines and pieces of knowledge and information that I've spent a lot of time researching, like minimalism and zero waste and eco-consciousness and all of these things, and just bringing it together in a place where the women who are in the group also kind of define what's getting spoken about and we learn from each other. Initially, I said this is going to be a workshop about bringing all of these concepts into your life, like living a better life through minimizing, decluttering, eating organic, zero waste, being more eco-conscious. That's what this workshop's going to be about. And what landed up happening is that this workshop became about those things and became about living a better life and being a better version of yourself, but not through any prescription. It kind of came up about how we dress, but then because women are so deep, a woman can't look at something at face value and then just move on. So obviously when the topic came up about how we dress, when we got onto the topic of how we dress and what's in our closet, immediately it wasn't just like, oh, I like to wear jeans or I like to wear dresses. It was like deep, and how I dress makes me feel like this, and if I'm not dressing in a certain way, then I don't feel good, and if I do, and when I'm with my kids, and how I want to be, and how I want to present myself to the world, and how I want to present myself to myself. So I thought we were going to have a workshop about creating a capsule wardrobe, only neutral colours, all interchangeable. And what landed up happening is that particular day we had a workshop about how we present ourselves to the world relative to who we are on the inside. And every single thing we discussed became deep and meaningful, which leads me to the whole premise of this workshop and of, I think, my life actually, and what I believe in, is that the power and the depth and the intellect and the wisdom and the intuition of a woman is absolutely infinite and exponential. We never ever ever know our own limitations because it doesn't exist. You can think like, I've been up the whole night and there's absolutely no way I can get out of bed, and then the baby cries and then you do get out of bed. We can feel I'm at the end of my rope, and then we're not, and we just produce more rope from somewhere. When I say like the power of the woman, I don't mean a power that is same or similar to the power of a man. And that's what always used to freak me out about modern day feminism. I'm not talking about fighting for women to have a vote and fighting for women to get educated. I'm educated, and I fully intend to continue getting educated, but I don't limit myself to, I get an education, then I use that education to earn a salary, and then that salary is the sum total of my worth. I think the modern world is so busy trying to make women the same as men that they completely neglect that we are so much more. And again, I'm not into bashing men. I always say, like, I'm the biggest daddy's girl you'll ever find. I married a man and I created a man. It would just be completely stupid for me to be like, men suck, men are the inferior sex, men are the different sex to us. I always say, like, if something resonates with you as being truthful, something that you find in the secular world, something commercial or something trendy, if it resonates as being truthful and real and authentic, you've got to know that it comes from the original source of truth. It can't be that someone came up with some new truth that God didn't know about first. So this idea that a woman is all powerful and a woman has no boundaries, and you cannot limit a woman into one role. Like, your role is you wake up, then you go be an accountant, then you come home from being an accountant, then you get your money for being the accountant, and then you use the money to sustain yourself to go be an accountant again. You could never put that on. You could never put that box on around a woman. Of course she can be an accountant, but that will not be the sum of her identity and her existence. It will be some tiny little facet that is extracurricular to who she is. We know Aisha's Khail, and we know the description of a woman of valor, But for me, what does that mean? What does it mean, like a strong woman, a woman who has valor? This word valor, like, for me, it speaks to like battle, And what is the battle that we're fighting? It's our life today. It's our life in Galus. It's our life, where everything is sheker and everything is hidden, and yet as women we have the instinct of what is true and what is correct and what is right for ourselves, for our children. Oftentimes I know I'll just have a feeling my kids aren't going to school tomorrow. I won't even be able to articulate the feeling, but just during the night I'll just keep imagining myself not being able to do my stuff tomorrow, and then I'll be like, wow, and then she wakes up and vomits all over the school. This is what happened for me last night, And so this woman of valor, which is all of us, is the woman who is the woman who's in the front line of the battle of life. What I want to tell you about is, as I say, if I can look at these workshops that I've run and that I hope to continue running as a like a research study. Like when you do research, you kind of have to conduct interviews, and then you go through all the interviews and you see like common threads and common themes and common, it's a thematic analysis. Mm-hmm. The findings for me of this journey that I've been on with different women, there were a few across the board glaringly obvious, inalienable truths about being a woman. And this is over and above this thing that I keep talking about, the power of a woman, the power of a woman. Number one, it does not matter if you are literally chained to the oven with no shoes on, pregnant, or the complete soul-earning breadwinner, which I've had, or anywhere in between on that spectrum. Doesn't matter where you fall as the woman in terms of earning within the family dynamic, the woman is the boss of the home. The home falls under her jurisdiction. And kind of, especially in today's times where everything is like on a balance sheet and everything is tit for tat and everything is, I'll give you this so that you can give me that. One might think to yourself, okay, but if you're the breadwinner, if you're the sole earner, then surely the roles shift. If you're in charge of the money, then he's in charge of the home, perhaps. And makes sense on paper, but empirically, I've never seen it. I've never ever seen in a family situation, whether it's a nuclear family or a divorce or whatever, the woman is the CEO of the life, of the whole family's life. She is the CEO of Mishpachat X. And it might be that because she is a corporate lawyer and gets home every night between 8 and 9 o'clock, it might be that she's having the groceries delivered and she's WhatsApping the housekeeper the recipe and checking that it's in the oven, and then setting an alarm on her own phone, and then phoning the, hi, it's been 45 minutes, take the chicken out the oven, it's now time for the children to get out. So it might be that she's doing the whole thing remotely, but she is managing it. And she knows about it, and she is worrying about it whilst she's doing other things. And then obviously that's on the extreme end of the spectrum, and then you can observe it all the way across the spectrum to the woman who is perpetually in the home doing everything herself. She's taking the chicken out the oven, but their power is identical and the responsibilities that they hold are identical. I'm not an earner. I'm not responsible for earning in our home, but I know that I am responsible for my husband being okay. I can fight that, and I fight it all the time. I'm like, I'm not your mom. But the truth is, that's like Adrian Gore saying, I think we should just like stop processing dental claims. I've got good teeth. I can't. If they're not born with good teeth, I must just deal with it. It's just a fact of life. I am in charge of my husband because he's a man, and men are so different to women that they need a woman to contain them. So it's just the bottom line, and to help them come to fruition in every conceivable sense of the word. And that's why we see in the Torah, a woman has no mitzvah to get married. A woman has no mitzvah to have children because she's going to do it anyway. It's so intrinsic to her nature. It is so desperately there. She's going to wake up and brush her teeth and seek a mate and seek to reproduce. So he's fighting a battle that he could never hope to win without a woman strategizing his attack. And that was a huge problem for me for a long time. especially in my own marriage, because I'm an only child. My parents got divorced when I was 1. So I was either 100% with my mom or 100% with my dad. There was never what I've witnessed my children experience. I'm kind of with mom, but dad's on the couch, and vice versa. There was never that. So as a result, my father became my Jewish mommy as well. And that's just what I assumed dads do. Now, obviously, my perception was warped because firstly it was from that of a child, and secondly, it was when I was with my dad on the weekend and so on and so forth. But basically, everything my mom did, he did. There was never choice. So I used to say to my husband, why can't you do it as well as I can? Because I can become a CA. That's what my husband is. I have that brain capacity. Maybe I don't have the Zitzfleisch, clearly, because I'm not a CA. But we always joke who's got more degrees, and the truth is we have the same.
What did you study, sir?
Psychology. And then I'm like, I'm writing a thesis now.
Have you got your master's?
No, going on 4 years now. I have 2 more chapters to write, just can't write them. So I'm like, when I get that master's, I'm going to out-qualify you, and then we're going to put all the degrees on the wall, and my side of the wall's going to be bigger. So I'm always like, I could be a CA. I'm not a genius, but I'm smart enough to be an accountant. Why aren't you smart enough to be a mom? And like, he always used to say like, oh, you're just so much better at it than me. And it used to irritate me. I used to say like, that's just a cop-out, that's just an excuse. You're just trying to get out of soothing the baby or waking up in whatever it was. And then I realized I was missing the compliment firstly, because I'm better at it than him. It comes from like in my soul to nurture and to make things better. Not only for my kids, for everyone. That's what women do. But what I also realized, which I think is a major chiddush, most people don't think it's so brilliant, but I do. My husband can never, ever, ever do what I can do emotionally. I have to accept that. If I want to have a successful marriage, which actually everything else, all other success in my life is going to stem from having a successful marriage, I have to accept that. But I actually can't do what my husband can do. And it literally took me about 6.5 years to figure out what that is. And what my husband can do emotionally that I can't do emotionally is carry the burden of providing for us forever and ever on his shoulders without flinching. Just like I'm worrying about my son right now who's at school while I'm talking to you. And I'm also planning like how many hours it's going to be till I give her another quarter of the Zofa while I'm talking to you. That's what my husband's doing 24 hours of the day. So what manifests as his anxiety that irritates me is actually his innate power as a man to take whatever is allotted to him and provide for it and do whatever he has to do. So coming to that realization of his what he can do emotionally versus what I can do emotionally, I think was like that aha moment of the understanding of what true feminism is, knowing the power of a woman, the capabilities of the woman, the boundlessness of the woman, but then also understanding true masculinity. I think the death of praising masculinity is a loss that should be mourned. There's nothing wrong with being a fully fledged adult who happens to be a man. I want my husband to be the man and embrace his spiritual emotional role, which, as I say, is this role of protector and provider. Just like I want to have the space and the freedom to fully embrace my emotional and spiritual role as the creator and the nurturer. And I don't want someone to tell me I'm less than because I'm in that role. And that for me is feminism, and that is Torah feminism. And that's also Torah masculinism. The Torah has a deep love for each and every role, on this earth. So I used to think I was the only one who lived with the permanent 24-hour worry as the mother. Like I used to say to my husband, you don't realize how lucky you are. You get to go off and be with adults the whole day, and you don't even have to worry who's with your children. If I leave my children for 45 minutes, I'll have tremendous guilt and I'm worrying, and who's the caregiver, and are they family, and is it a housekeeper? And you don't have any of that. You don't realize how lucky you are to have me until I realized how lucky I am to have him. That he's doing the exact same thing about all of us, that we can go to school and have a roof over our head and educate our children. On Shabbos, I happened to veer off to Sunny Roadshore because I wanted to go tell Tova something, my friend Tova, and I know she goes there, and I forgot to tell her before Shabbos. So literally, I said to Johnny, I'll meet you at Shaw, I'm just popping there for 10 minutes. And she happened to be speaking to Leonard Carr about this kind of a topic. Literally within about 7 minutes at the Shul Kiddush, he blew my mind. He is one of the smartest people I've ever spoken to. He said women are very good at leaning on each other for support. It's just a fact about being a woman. We're very good at leaning on each other for support. Men suck at leaning on each other for support. For me, that is toxic masculinity. That you can't be masculine and vulnerable at the same time. And he said, it's very lonely to be a man. That loneliness thing was a breakthrough moment because there's so much literature now about how lonely it is to be a mother, and how lonely it is to be a new mother, and how lonely it is to be a stay-at-home mother. And no one is talking about how lonely it is to be a man, just by virtue of the fact that you are a man. So we know what makes us lonely, because if you're breastfeeding and you're at home, it's physically isolating, because we're not living in these kind of communal societies anymore where there's physical proximity to other women. No one's talking about what makes it lonely for a man, because he's got to be in his role, in his masculine role, and there's no room for grey for this poor guy. Unless you look at the Torah, which I think gives the perfect framework for each of us in our separate gender roles to completely self-actualize as much as is possible in this world. Your husband falls in your jurisdiction by virtue of the fact that he's a man, so he's not going to seek out support. That is the toxic masculinity. That he can't be a highly successful, powerful man who's earning and providing and doing, but also be stressed and worried and overworked and burnt out. You know, amongst women, we talk about like the burnout of a woman, and I'm not taking away from that because I think it is so explicitly real and undermanaged. But I think the same is true for men, just in different ways, just in completely different ways, you know? They also have mental burnout, they also have loneliness. And so, what's the difference between a man and a woman here? Acknowledging all of that. The woman is still this on the top of the pyramid, managing all of that. So she's managing herself and all of those emotional needs and all of her power and potential and her burnout. And she's doing the same for her husband and her children. So that's that boundless power and responsibility of a woman. The computer's only as smart as the person typing on the keyboard. You can have as many staff members as you like. If you are not managing your staff, your household is in a complete shambles. You are still the boss. You are still the CEO. You still have to manage it. And if you're not managing it, it's not running optimally. I have never, ever met a woman who doesn't live with feelings of guilt in varying degrees. And it might be as subtle as, I feel bad. And it might be as extreme as, my guilt is so crippling, I cannot leave my children for one living second. I haven't left them alone in 10 years. And anywhere else in between. But a woman lives with guilt. And I think that there's pathological guilt, which is totally destructive and can destroy a woman, which will then destroy the family. And then I think there's inalienable guilt that is just genetically wired into a woman. It's in your DNA, there's nothing you can do about it, so you have to just say, oh, hello, here you are again, and off you go to the back of my mind. And then I think, again, there's everything in between in the spectrum, which includes functional guilt. Sometimes you're feeling guilty because you are doing something wrong. That's what guilt is. The next theme is, if the woman is not okay, no one is okay. If anyone else in the household is not okay, that person's not okay. If the CEO is not okay, no one's okay. And you can see it in the most extreme cases where a woman gets sick and God forbid die or whatever, and the whole family falls apart. And you can see it on those days where you oversleep and nothing works. I also think in today's society, those kind of ideas because you're the woman and a woman comes with certain characteristics like being more sensitive and therefore you should be more compassionate to your husband. Those are not popular ideas today because it's just because you're the woman, you're the sensitive one. Well, even from a scientific, biological perspective, it's true because of the way your hormones and your neurotransmitters and the chemical makeup of your body works. So you can sit there denying reality and think that the world's flat, but that's a fact. But it's not popular right now because it's not PC and it's not liberal and it's not equalitarian, even though equal opportunity does not equal sameness. And Leonard Carr said this thing also, mind-blowing. He said there is no maturation without loss. And it's only by acknowledging the loss and mourning it that you can truly progress. Correct? Recognizing it, owning it, naming it, mourning it, sitting with the pain of the loss, that you can progress. But if you don't, that festers and becomes mental illness, anxiety, depression, living in the past, living in the future, fear, worry. But if you get married and you say, as much as this is what I've always wanted, this is my own example, I've always wanted to be married. My parents got divorced when I was 1. All I ever wanted was to get married and to create a successful marriage. It still came with a tremendous amount of loss. I had to lose my identity as a single person, lose those elements of freedom. And yes, of course, yes, you can be free within your marriage, but to a degree.
Yeah, that's difficult.
I would not want my husband to do whatever he wanted, whenever he wanted. So how can I expect to have that allowed to me? It's not kind, it's not fair, it's not responsible. So I had to mourn that. And I had to mourn the loss of friendships. Because, of course, your friendships can weather, but as you say, you and your husband have to become best friends. There's not room in your life for 45 best friends. So that's hard for you, it's hard for the friends you leave behind, but what you gain in relinquishing all of those things is so exponentially greater, it takes you up a level, but you cannot experience the benefit of the gain without leaving that behind. And it's so, if our responsibility is unending and we match it and we stand up to it and we meet it every single day because our power is limitless, and as such we are the CEOs of our life, and because we are the CEOs of our life, if we are not okay, no one's okay. How do we make sure we're okay? And that question I didn't have an answer to for myself, and I think the answer is different for every single woman. But it took me a long time to find the answers, and again, the answers are not static, because for every age and stage and phase of your life, and for every different identity that you live as a woman, those needs are different. So for me to be okay when I had one child who was a small baby, I made a rule called sleep above all else. That was what I needed to be okay, is to have this rule called sleep above all else. I didn't need to leave my child with a maid. Everyone said, just leave him for a few hours. That didn't help me. Rightly or wrongly, it made me feel terrible. It made me have guilt and anxiety, and I would grind my teeth and I would come home with a sore neck. Yes, theoretically, but it didn't work for me. What worked for me is to make up this rule called sleep above all else, which meant whenever that child closed his eyes, I would stop, drop and roll. I would literally stop, drop and roll to a bed. And if it meant 20 minutes or 40 minutes or an hour and a half, if it meant getting late to a wedding, if it meant missing a mom and me thing that I had paid for, that, and I gave myself permission to have that rule. And that was what self-care looked like and felt like to me in that year period. It was like a 12-month period. And then things started to calm down, and then it started to look to it. It evolves. Another thing I've recently learned is, which blew my mind, I was listening to a share on Torah Anytime. There's this woman called Esty Hamilton. Have any of you heard of her? And what she said in this one share, which I think changes the game if you accept this concept. There's no such thing as the authentic self. There's no such thing. Because what is your inner core? Your neshama. What's your neshama? A piece of Hashem. What does your neshama want so desperately? To be close to Hashem. What's the closest your neshama can be to Hashem? Shamayim. How do you get to Shamayim? You die. But what is our desperate need as human beings? To live. We have a life instinct in us constantly to survive all the time. It's wired into us chemically, biologically, emotionally, and spiritually, even though our neshama is desperate to be with Hashem. So mitzvahs are the tempering force between our human need to stay alive and our neshama's need to be close to Hashem. It's like the bridge. But, or moreover, if you accept all of those premises and this idea that our neshama is our true essence, it's not my body, it's not what I look like, it's not even how I feel, it's not even how I think, it's my essence, it's my soul. That's who I am. I am a soul, I have a body, and not the other way around. Then we can accept that there's no such thing as the true authentic self, because who I am is changing constantly based on where I am, who I'm with, what is best for me, what is nutritious for me, what I'm learning, what new information comes to me, and so on and so on and so on. And the paradox of life that we find ourselves in, that we want to achieve our true self, but that can only be achieved in death. In Olam Haba. In leaving this world, which is a prose door, which is a corridor. It's a mere corridor to the infinitive, exponential, all-encompassing oneness of Hashem in the next world. So we live that paradox every single day, and that's why we have so much cognitive dissonance and worry and anxiety and all of these things, especially in today's times, like the galut that we live in before Mashiach, like it's rampant, which is all over the show. But if we can accept that there's no such thing as the authentic self, then we can be anything. Then we can be the best versions of ourselves all the time in different settings. What a relief! The secular world is telling us, find yourself and hold on to that. I think that instruction is making people crazy. Because then they think they can find themselves and then hold on to it and it's static and be this person. Of course, you can have preferences and you can have things that have more longevity than others. So to think that anything is static and forever and set in stone is naive. It's totally naive. All of this about how do I make myself okay? Then we get into the work of the workshop. What does that mean? What do I want to be? How do I want to feel? What is the home? If I am the CEO of this life, then what is the home? Is it four walls? Is it where we live? Is it the whole is greater than the sum of the parts? Is it an ecopod? Is it a mansion? What is it? Where is it? What does it mean to be to me? Have you ever heard, when I did philosophy, they taught us this thing, where is the university? And it was to teach us some concept. But basically, is it the faculty building? Yes, it is, but it's also the rugby lawn and also the parking lot. But it's not only those things, because it's also the actual education that's happening. So the whole is greater than the sum of the parts. Where is the university? Based on everything that I've said, the home is where all of that happens. The home is where all of that takes place. What do we want to change? What do we want to actually let go of and say, this isn't going to change, so stop beating myself up about that. And if I do want to change it, how am I going to change it in a way that works for me? That's my best question in life. Is this working? And it's such a question, because what it does is it takes away all the constructs that you're telling yourself, all the narratives. A good mother looks like this, but it's not working. It's just not working. Like when we moved here, that 2 weeks of chaos, it was not going to work to try and clean the house with bicarb and vinegar that day and week. So if I had tried to persevere with that and move us in and keep my children sane and put supper on the table and contain my husband so that he could go to work the next day and feel okay about leaving us, it wasn't going to work. So we used Omo that week. and whatever else we used, I can't remember. But I was so proud of myself for lowering my standards to higher my standards. I was so proud of myself for saying, this week I'm lowering my standard of zero tox to higher the standard of overall happiness and okayness of the family. And I'm not good at making those compromises. I'm such an extremist. I want to do all the things all the time, and that's how you fail. There's many roads to success, and there's one road to failure, and it's trying to do all the things all the time perfectly. Why I call this workshop Calm Home, Calm Life is because I think so many other emotions that we are told in society today to cleave towards and to seek out is a recipe for failure. I always say, have you ever met a completely happy person? Of course you haven't. Because no one is only one thing all the time. It's impossible. So whilst thankfully that's true of discomfort, it's also true of comfortable and wonderful feelings. Everything is fleeting. But if you have a calm center, a calm anchor, a calm place to return to and leave from, both literally and proverbially, every single day of your life, then you can have a calm life, a calmer life. And I also firmly believe, this is just my personal belief, if you have a calmer center, again, literally and proverbially within yourself, you are able to weather the discomfort much easier, with much more grace, be much more proud of yourself. Like I said, I was so proud of myself that day when I bought Omo when we were moving, because I was calm enough to have the clarity to look at the situation and understand the bigger picture. And I also believe when you are calm, you can enjoy the sweeter moments so much more. So what is it? You achieve this calm default? No. It's how you feel. Your whole life, actually, in my opinion, can be reduced to, how do I feel? How does this make me feel? What is my feeling cause? How does it cause me to react? And it influences pretty much all our choices. Why did you get married? Because of how your husband made you feel. Why did you have children? Because of how you wanted to feel. Why did you want to be a mother? Because you wanted to feel it, not see it or show it to other people, you know? So this calm home scenario is a feeling that we're seeking out. My calm may look and sound completely different to your calm. You know, I always talk about the best for me is just like not even knowing what time it is, and we all get in the bath together. First me and my kids, and then we get up, and my husband has a shower, we just schmooze, and then we all like jolling on the carpet upstairs, and we getting into our pajamas, and we talking and we playing, and then this one falls asleep on the mattress on the floor, and I don't even know what time it is, and sometimes we all asleep by 6:30, and then my husband will wake up like an hour later, and he'll be like, I'm starving, can we go down and have supper? and on Motzei Shabbos, I fell asleep at 11, which was like half an hour after she fell asleep, but we had the best Shabbos. I didn't even notice Shabbos was out, I didn't even notice we were jolling. So that's what calm looks like for me. As Jews, we have a huge responsibility, to be exemplary. What does that mean? Firstly, it means everything. You have to be exemplary in every single thing that you do, which is an impossible task, and yet we still try. But for me, it means acknowledging the fact that we are spiritual beings in a physical world, and not discounting the spiritual, obviously, but also not discounting the physical. This table, I could sit here and give you a 3-hour lecture on this table. The lesson of, I'm a Jew, I'm a Jewish mother, I'm a Jewish woman. My life needs Shabbos. Shabbos has certain needs, and one of them is a big, solid, beautiful Shabbos table. So take minimalism and all these cool, trendy ideas and know where they fit in. They are well contained within Torah, but they are not a religion. Torah is a religion. Torah is the blueprint. And what does it really mean to be a Torah person? It means elevating the physical and bringing down the spiritual, creating that balance. So yes, it means the physical space, you know, external clutter, internal clutter, for sure. But it also means my body. If my neshama lives in my body, best I treat this body correctly, and then also model that for my children. and then also my mind, and also my soul, and also I'm the CEO, so I have to do it on a micro and macro. It's a paradox. It's a complete paradox every day that we live in, and we're trying to grapple with, and as women we're trying to grapple with it. Baruch Hashem,